I'm so pleased that you're joining us today. Today I'm speaking to Fizza Younis. She is going to share her prompted publication journey with us. She has been on the website for quite a while, so I'm quite sure many of you know her name. But hi Fizza, I'm so glad you could join us.
Hello, I'm also glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking about my books. So let's start.
Cool, let's go. Okay, so Fizza, just tell us a little bit. I know you're speaking to us from Lahore, Pakistan. So please tell us, what does your day look like? Family and friends, what does your writing day look like? How do you get your stories done?
Well, I have a PhD in economics, and right now I don't have a day job, but I do freelance proofreading and editing for academic journals. And on the side, I carry on with my writing, fiction writing. I love writing stories and poetry, and but it's more of something which I do in my free time rather than my main focus. But due to pandemic, I got a lot of time, and I wrote a lot of stories. So that's how I got published.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your stories and your books and the experience of writing it.
I write short stories mostly because I have written one novel, but it's not published yet. But my 3 short stories collections are published. I uh, I published my first one in December 2019, and my third one came out this February. Uh, I usually set a theme for my book, and then all my stories follow that theme. So my first book, Soul Seeks the Truth, was all about people who are looking for meaning in life and who are struggling with their personal life situations, and they are looking to find a way out of there. So those stories were all about them, self-actualization, and basically they were all spiritual stories. And my last one, When Love Fails, it was all about love and relationships and heartbreaks and second chances. So it was quite exciting, and I usually enjoy writing a lot. So it's a fun activity for me.
Great. Okay, tell me, how did you end up becoming a writer? Have you always written stories? Have you never written stories? How did you end up putting your stories down on paper?
I actually used to write as a kid and a teenager. I wrote for my school magazine, and I wrote for teen journals here in Pakistan. But once I started college, that became an afterthought, and I stopped writing. And I actually never thought I would become a published author like this, because I was so focused on my studies, and I was always dreaming about having this successful career as an economist. So I never thought that I would get published. But then during my PhD, actually, I was going through a rough patch. There was one year that was very depressing for me. And that's when I picked up my pen again, and I started writing again. And it felt right. I decided that it's time. I can now take it further. I can think about getting published. And that's how one thing led to another, and I ended up getting published.
That's fantastic. Okay, so how do you feel about writing? Does writing energize you? Is it draining for you? Is it hard work to write? How do you experience writing?
It's fun. I don't find it hard at all. It's a fun activity. I do it sometimes when I'm tense, I'm worried about something. I start writing, and just my worries fade away. I feel energized. Definitely, I feel energized, and I love it.
That's awesome. Do you have any other creative pursuits besides writing? Do you find your creative pursuits feed off each other? What else do you do?
I love sketching and painting, and yes, definitely, they feed each other. When I am painting, I always get new ideas about my stories, and uh, they go hand in hand. I sometimes, when I'm writing a short story or even a poetry, I sometimes sketch my characters and
Cool.
settings, and it's really fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's my drawings aren't really, my stick figures don't look like my characters, but it definitely
I
helps.
actually, I just love creating something. It's art or it's poetry or it's fiction. I just love it. I'm happiest when I'm doing something creative.
Oh,
And I feel
fantastic.
the same way about research actually.
Cool.
It's also a creative activity,
Hmm.
because you are taking something in and you are creating something else. So I think they all go hand in hand.
No, that's great. Yeah,
They
definitely.
all feel each other.
Oh, good. Okay. Obviously, are you a writer? Well, you're a writer, but are you a reader as well? Do you enjoy reading? What are you reading at the moment?
So I am a reader first and foremost, even before I am a writer. And I have always read. Even when I was a kid, I used to love reading fairy tales and stories of all kinds, and both in Urdu and English, both languages.
Mhm.
And uh, I read all kind of fiction. I'm not really a fan of non-fiction though, other than my subject. I don't read non-fiction, but
Okay.
I love fiction and I read everything. Most of the time, I prefer historical fiction and mysteries, but my favorite genres keep changing.
Okay.
There was a time when I was obsessed with horror and thrillers, and I read everything that was written by R.S. Stein and Stephen King, and it was really, really. I don't know. It wasn't a dark time in my life or anything, but I just enjoyed the thrill of it.
Great. No, that sounds like fun. Tell me, you mentioned that you speak both English and Urdu. Do you ever write in other in languages other than English, or only in English? What do you find yourself writing
No,
in?
no, I don't write in Urdu. Unfortunately, I don't. It's a very difficult language to write in.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable. I'm more comfortable with English.
Okay. Yeah. No,
So
it's interesting.
I write in English,
Yeah.
but I read both languages. So
Okay, great. Yeah. No, I also have more than one language, so it's always so interesting to see how the stories come out in different languages. And my vocabulary in one isn't as big as my vocabulary in the other, and it makes it so much harder to write. But it's wonderful to speak more than one language. Um, Tell us a little bit about your publishing journey. How did you get your books up?
I decided very early on that I want to be an indie author. I didn't want to go the traditional route because mostly I thought that I wouldn't have the time to, write query letters and deal with their timelines. I wanted to take control of my work. I wanted to do it on my own terms. So I decided to be an indie author, and from there, it was pretty easy. It's easy to get self-published these days, and all the resources are available online. And I hire editors and proofreaders, freelancers mostly, and they helped out a lot, and my friends helped out a lot. And in the end, I got published, and the
Wonderful.
response was good, really good.
Great. Okay, yeah, actually, well, let's talk about that response a little bit because there's so many definitions of success when it comes to publishing. So, what would you
Yes.
consider a publishing success?
For me, success is when you can be proud of your work. If you have written something you can be proud of, you can reread it and you can just love it. That's, I think, a success. So, but for me, response from family and friends and even strangers were really good. And I got a lot of reviews from my online friends, and everyone was appreciative of my work. So that encouraged me a lot.
That's wonderful. Okay. Um,
I'm happy to say that I know it's not the same for everyone, but I have only received constructive criticism.
oh,
If I have
wonderful.
received criticism, it has been constructive and it has helped me a lot.
That's great. Yeah, that is wonderful that you feel you can grow from criticism. So that's wonderful. Tell me quickly, what was the hardest part of the book to write? Was there a part that you struggled with in terms of stories? Was there a difficult story? Did some of the stories just arrive and others you had to really struggle with?
I don't usually struggle because I don't plan or plot. I just stories just come to me and I start writing, and I just let the characters decide. They can decide what they want, and I just let them. But I do find writing romance very difficult. I have tried writing a few romantic short stories, and it was very very tough for me.
Yeah.
I feel that I cannot bring out that feeling of not the right feeling of romance. So
Okay.
that's one thing I usually stay away from.
Okay, we all have our joys. Um, Another question. What was your favorite book as a child?
That's Peter Pan, definitely.
Cool.
I
Okay.
read it so many times, and Peter Pan was my idea. I wanted to be him. I wanted to live in the Neverland and never grow up.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Tell me, when you had to choose stories that went into your anthologies and stories to leave out, was there any criteria? How did you decide the story, I don't like it, or did you just work according to theme? You've mentioned theme before. How did you pick stories to go in, and what made you leave some stories out?
I select the theme first, and then I decide, okay, this story fits into this theme or not. And then and also, yes, it counts that whether or not I love the story, or if I feel that no, it's not worth publishing. So I will have to do more work on it. So I just leave that one out and don't put it into my books.
Okay, no, well, theme is definitely a good place to
But
start.
yes, it's mostly about theme.
Okay, great. Okay, and then tell us, what advice do you have for the writers on the site? What can you tell them? What should they do if they want to get published, if they want to finish their challenges? What advice can you give them?
Someone gave me this advice, and I think it helped me a lot. So I'm going to give it to everyone who is thinking about getting published. Don't think until your first draft is done. First write. Just keep writing, whether you feel that you are good enough or not, whether you feel that you will finish it or not. Just keep writing, keep at it. And once your first draft is done, then you can start thinking about publishing, and think very carefully which which route you want to take. Do you want to be a self-published author, or do you want to go the traditional route? Because they are both very different, and they both have their own set of challenges. So you have to decide which one you want to take and which will be better fit for you. So that's what I would advise anyone who is thinking about getting published.
That's wonderful. Okay. Thank you for your time, Fizza. I'm so proud of you. I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to see more of your stories.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun. I love chatting with you, and I love your group. I wanted
Good.
to thank you. I've been meaning to thank you for quite some time
Oh,
now. It's a lovely group of people, and you do so much for us authors. Thank you
no
so
shame.
much for it.
It is the biggest pleasure, and this group is only wonderful because of the wonderful writers in it. So I'm so pleased that you are one of them. Okay. So thank you
Thank
for
you so
joining
much.
us. Okay. And best of luck. See you on the site.
Thank you.